41. Squash is the fruit of a vine plant that grows wild in Central America. Squash is one of the earliest plants to be farmed. There are two kinds of squash, summer squash and winter squash. You can pick summer squash in the summer, and they have soft skins that you can eat. You can pick winter squash in the fall, and they have thick, hard skins that you don't eat. Winter squash are harder to cook, but you can store them all winter without them going bad. In the summer, people often ate the flowers of squash plants. After the harvest, people roasted winter squash whole in the coals of a cooking fire. And then they cut it open and scooped out the seeds. You could roast and eat the seeds, or you could press them to get oil for cooking, like sunflower seeds. (42) When a horse goes on the road, it walks on the tips of its toes. Walking on tiptoe is difficult for us, but horses find it to be the easiest thing to do. The foot of a horse is divided into a toe with a broad tip, while other animals have nails and claws. The horse has a hoof surrounding the toe. The hoof area cannot feel anything. It is made of dead tissue, like our fingernails. The heels don't touch the ground. The center of the horse's foot, called the frog, is soft. When the horse is carrying a rider or a heavy load, the hoof comes down heavily on the ground. The frog may not be able to bear the weight. To prevent this, an iron horseshoe is fixed to the horse's foot. It protects the frog and ensures the horse can run as fast as the wind. (43) Did you know potato chips were invented by an angry chef? A chef named George Crumb was working in the summer of 1853 when he invented the chip by accident. It all began when a person who ordered a plate of French fried potatoes sent them back to Crumb's kitchen. The customer said they were too thick, soft, and not salty enough. To teach the picky customer a lesson, Crumb sliced the potatoes as thin as he could, and then he fried them until they were hard and crispy. Finally, he added a generous amount of salt. The dish ended up being a hit with the customer, and potato chips were born. Years later, Crumb opened his own restaurant that had a basket of potato chips on every table. Though Crumb never attempted to patent his invention, the snack was eventually mass-produced and sold in bags, providing thousands of jobs nationwide. (44) Many kids play with toy guns, but many parents and teachers discourage kids from war games. They think it can make fighting seem cool. Others believe these games help children learn right from wrong and the results of violence. Are you allowed by your parents to play with toy guns for fun? Is it just fun, or do you think it can make violence seem cool? Chris: I play war games with my friends. it makes violence sound fun. But we know that we shouldn't make actual violence, as it can injure another person. Alice: I don't think toy guns should be allowed. Some people could find it shocking if they see the children playing with toy guns. Justin: I play war games, but I shouldn't do it in real life. I don't like war. I just play them for fun. Daniel: These toys represent violence in very young children. I don't think that it is okay. (45) Have you ever heard these words? You do not need to be a rocket scientist. People often hear and say them in schools and offices. No one seems to know how the expression began for sure, but an official of NASA says the expression just grew. It grew, he says, because rocket scientists probably are some of the most intelligent people. Here are some examples of how you might hear the words used. High school students cannot seem to understand something their teacher is explaining. Come on, she says. You do not need to be a rocket scientist to understand this. Another example is a company that makes soap is trying to sell its product on television. You do not need to be a rocket scientist to see that our soap cleans better, the company says. These words send a strong message. They say that you do not need to be extremely intelligent to understand something. (46) Do you know how to spend money wisely? A research study suggests that people would benefit from asking themselves a basic question before reaching for their wallets. How will this purchase affect my time? If your child keeps asking for a pet, you could pay $50 for a goldfish, tank, and fish food. Or you could pay thousands of dollars to a golden retriever. Compared with a goldfish, caring for a dog comes with a big time burden and big price tag. But what many people fail to consider is that the dog might change the quality of their time. Having a dog gives us the responsibility of going on daily walks and chatting with other dog owners at the park. Research shows that exercising and talking to others are among the very happiest ways to use our time. In this case, dog beats fish. (47) According to the Australian Koala Foundation's research, there were millions of koalas when Europeans first arrived in Australia in the 18th century. But now only about 40,000 koalas are alive. The name koala means not drinking water in native Australian language. Koalas don't need to drink very much because they get water from their food, eucalyptus leaves. It is the only kind of food they eat. These leaves are poisonous to most animals, but do not hurt koalas. They have bacteria in their stomachs that break down the poisons. The most interesting fact of koalas is their sleeping pattern. They need a lot of energy to digest what they eat. So they sleep 18 to 22 hours a day in order to save energy. Their average lifespan is around 10 years, but if they live in a zoo, they can live more than 20 years. That is because they are free from the same dangers which wild koalas face. (48) Many people want to know whether they should exercise in the morning or in the evening. There is no definite answer. Exercising in the morning makes you more energetic all day long. Moreover, you can reduce stress, and your body will burn more calories during the day. You will experience a quiet and peaceful morning atmosphere too. But avoid excessive exercise because your body is not ready in the morning. On the other hand, if you exercise in the evening, you need not rush to work or study right after it. You will sleep better after evening exercise. But if you exercise right before going to bed, it will make it hard for you to fall asleep. Actually, the best time to exercise is not the same to everyone. It depends on what you want to get from exercise. The most important thing is no matter when you exercise, just do it regularly. (49) Punishment for drinking and driving is different from country to country. In France, drinking and driving is punished by a $1,000 fine and being put in prison for a year. Moreover, you can't drive a car for 3 years. Similarly, drunk drivers are put in prison with hard labor for a year in Finland. Do you think that going to jail for 1 or 3 years is too much? You may be really surprised to hear about the following countries. In South Africa, they will make you stay in jail for 10 years with a $1,000 fine. In Malaysia, when one half of a married couple is caught drunk driving, his wife or her husband will go to prison too. In Turkey, the police will take a drunk driver to a place which is 30 kilometers away and make him walk home. Of course, the police escort him so that he can't take a taxi or bus. (50) Nachos were invented by a Mexican. His name was Ignacio, which is where the name nacho came from. The original nachos were invented to satisfy visitors from the USA. They were made with the few ingredients he had in the kitchen, tortillas and cheese. He cut the tortillas into triangles, added cheddar cheese, quickly heated them, added some kind of sliced peppers, and served them. Later, nachos started being sold at stadiums by Frank Liberto, who is known as the father of nachos. He became famous because he invented his version of the dish. He did what no one else had done before, which was create cheese sauce. Liberto's sauce would not need to get hot to melt and had a longer shelf life. His recipe was top secret. In 1983, a man was arrested for trying to buy the trade secrets of how to make Liberto's cheese sauce.